Have you ever found yourself standing at the kitchen counter, holding a slice of cheese, wondering if it's still okay to enjoy the foods you've loved your whole life? Maybe your doctor recently mentioned your cholesterol levels, or you've noticed you're feeling a little more sluggish than usual, your joints a little stiffer, your energy not quite what it used to be. You're not alone. This is a moment so many of us over 60 experience. You want to keep living fully, keep doing what you love. Spending time with your grandkids, gardening, walking without pain, staying independent. But sometimes it feels like your body is sending mixed signals. Foods that once felt harmless, even nourishing, now leave you feeling weighed down, bloated, or worse. Today, we're going to have a heart-to-heart about something that's sitting quietly in almost everyone's fridge: cheese. Yes, cheese. It's creamy, comforting, familiar, often tied to our fondest memories. But some cheeses are not your friend after 60. In fact, a few of them could be quietly working against your best intentions to stay sharp, mobile, and healthy. But here's the good news: cheese doesn't have to be off-limits. In fact, when you make the right choices, the right cheeses can support your bones, your brain, even your gut health. They can become allies in your journey toward a longer, stronger, more joyful life. Why does this matter? Because what you put on your plate isn't just about taste anymore. It's about freedom. It's about staying active enough to travel, to laugh, to play, to live without being tied down by medications, hospital visits, or chronic fatigue. Food becomes your most personal form of medicine. And cheese, though small in portion, is mighty in its impact. That little slice, the one you snack on without thinking, could either help you age powerfully or slowly chip away at your vitality. In this video, we'll talk about the cheeses you may need to leave behind, and the ones you can welcome into your life daily. No guilt. No overwhelm. Just straight talk, gentle encouragement, and easy ways to feel better in your body again. I'll share stories from real people who've made small changes with big results. And I'll walk you through why certain cheeses affect you differently now than they did 20 years ago, and how to find better options that are just as satisfying. Let's start with something I see all the time. People trying to do their best, but unknowingly grabbing the worst possible cheese for their health. You know those bright orange slices you can peel apart and lay perfectly on a piece of toast? The ones that melt like a dream in grilled cheese sandwiches. Processed cheese slices, often labeled cheese food or cheese product, might look harmless, but they are one of the biggest offenders for folks over 60. They're loaded with preservatives, emulsifiers, and artificial colors. Worse, they contain very little actual cheese. What you're really eating is a concoction of oils and additives that your aging digestive system may struggle to process, especially if you already deal with bloating, blood pressure concerns, or inflammation. I remember talking to James, a 71-year-old grandfather who loved his afternoon grilled cheese sandwiches. Every day, he'd toast a couple slices of white bread, add those plastic-wrapped cheese slices, and feel like he was enjoying a comforting snack. But over time, his energy dipped, and his doctor warned him that his sodium levels were too high. Once he learned what those slices really contained and swapped them for a cleaner cheese, his digestion improved, and his afternoon slump vanished. A simple change, but one that rippled into every part of his day. So here's your tip. When you shop, turn the package over. If it says, cheese product, skip it. Look for block cheeses with short ingredient lists. Just milk, enzymes, maybe some salt. The simpler, the better. And if you love melty sandwiches, try thin slices of real cheddar or mozzarella instead. You'll still get that comfort, without the health baggage. Next, let's talk about sodium. As we get older, our kidneys don't filter salt quite as efficiently. That means too much sodium can raise your blood pressure and lead to swelling in your feet or joints. And one of the sneakiest sources of sodium? Aged cheeses. Cheddar, Gouda, Roquefort, and similar favorites are delicious, I get it. But they're often salt-packed and high in saturated fat, which is a double whammy for your heart and circulation. I'm not saying you can never have them. But if you're eating thick slices daily, it's time to rethink that habit. Take Nora, 66, for example. She loved snacking on cubes of sharp cheddar, thought it was a good protein. But over time, she noticed her ankles swelling more, her rings fitting tighter. She didn't connect it to the cheese at first. But once she cut back and switched to smaller shavings of Parmesan for flavor, paired with potassium-rich veggies, her symptoms eased. Her blood pressure even went down slightly at her next checkup. So here's what you can do: if you love aged cheeses, try using them more like a garnish. A sprinkle of Parmesan on soup. A thin shaving of cheddar on a sandwich instead of a thick slice. And balance them with foods that help flush out excess sodium, like leafy greens, avocado, or a banana. It's not about cutting joy. It's about learning to enjoy food in ways that support your goals. Now, before we move on, take a breath. This isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about giving your body what it needs now, not what it tolerated in your 40s. You've earned the right to feel good, to eat well, and to understand how even the smallest choices affect your overall vitality. And cheese is a powerful place to start. So let's keep going, because some of the cheeses that seem innocent, even healthy, can still be doing you more harm than good. Let's talk about cream cheese. It feels light, right? A little spread on your morning bagel, maybe a dollop in a recipe here or there. But here's the thing. Cream cheese is almost entirely fat, and it offers very little protein or calcium. And unfortunately, most of the time, it's the highly processed kind, packed with gums and stabilizers to keep it smooth. Now, that may have been fine when your metabolism was in full gear, but after 60, every bite needs to work for you, not against you. Take Gloria, for instance, 70 years old and sharp as a tack. She told me she never thought twice about the cream cheese she used every morning. Until one day, she realized she felt full, but not energized. Just heavy. Her doctor noticed a slow upward creep in her blood sugar and cholesterol. When we talked about breakfast, she admitted that cream cheese was her go-to. We swapped it out for ricotta with a little honey and cinnamon. Not only did her digestion improve, but she also started looking forward to breakfast again. So what can you do? If you love that creamy texture, you're not out of options. Ricotta is a wonderful swap. We'll get into that shortly. You can also try mashed avocado with a pinch of sea salt or full-fat Greek yogurt with some chives and lemon. The goal isn't to deprive yourself, it's to find new favorites that love you back. Now, there's one more cheese I want to talk about before we move into the good ones, the healing cheeses. And this one might be hard to hear because it's a household favorite, American-style cheddar. Yep, even the real blocks. Cheddar is one of the most widely consumed cheeses in the US, and while it does have calcium and protein, it can be really high in sodium and saturated fat, especially when eaten in large amounts. Thick slices, loaded mac and cheese, cheesy casseroles. They all add up. Miguel, a vibrant 65-year-old who still worked part-time as a school bus driver, used to eat a cheddar-heavy diet. Mac and cheese for lunch, grilled sandwiches with double slices, and cheddar omelets on weekends. He started feeling stiff in the mornings, his hands ached, and he assumed it was just age catching up. But his inflammatory markers were climbing. After a few simple swaps, thinner shavings, less frequent use, and switching to softer cheeses occasionally, he started moving easier. Small changes made a big difference. So if you love cheddar, here's the deal, don't panic. You don't have to give it up entirely. Just reduce the portion size. Instead of thick slices, grate it. Use it as a topping, not the main ingredient. And pair it with anti-inflammatory foods, like berries, olive oil, or leafy greens, to help balance out the effects. Alright, now that we've covered what to limit, let's shift gears. I want to show you how cheese can actually be your ally. There are cheeses out there that support your muscles, your brain, your gut, and yes, even your mood. These aren't just allowed cheeses, these are the ones I encourage you to eat daily, if you enjoy them. So let's start with one of the most underrated superfoods in the dairy aisle, cottage cheese. I know. Cottage cheese doesn't always have the flashiest reputation. But hear me out, for adults over 60, it's a powerhouse. It's rich in casein protein, which digests slowly and helps preserve muscle mass, something we lose more rapidly as we age. It's also relatively low in fat and sodium compared to most cheeses, and it contains calcium and B vitamins that your bones and brain will thank you for. Paul, 69, was skeptical. He'd never liked the texture. But once we added pineapple chunks and a few chopped walnuts, he was hooked. He started eating it as a mid-morning snack instead of cookies or crackers, and the difference was noticeable. His energy stayed more even, he felt stronger during his morning walks, and, this is important, he started looking forward to the routine. So if you haven't tried cottage cheese in a while, give it another shot. Choose full-fat or 2% versions without added gums or flavorings. Add fruit, nuts, or even a sprinkle of cinnamon. Or, if you prefer savory, stir in chopped cucumbers, tomatoes, and a little olive oil. It's versatile, satisfying, and incredibly nourishing. Next up, feta. But not just any feta, I'm talking about traditional feta made from goat's or sheep's milk. Why does that matter? Well, as we age, many of us become a little more sensitive to cow's milk. Goat and sheep cheeses are often easier to digest and can be less inflammatory. Feta is brined, which helps it keep longer, and it contains probiotics that support your gut, a key part of staying healthy as you age. Marcos, a spry 73-year-old who followed a Mediterranean-style diet, swore by feta. He'd crumble it over everything: eggs, roasted vegetables, lentil soup. His blood pressure was in check, his memory sharp, and his joints stayed limber. It wasn't just the feta, of course, but it was part of a lifestyle that emphasized simplicity and nourishment. If you enjoy feta, make sure you're getting the real stuff, not the pre-crumbled kind coated in anti-caking agents. Look for blocks in brine and cut off what you need. A little goes a long way, and the flavor is so bold, you don't need much to feel satisfied. We've got a couple more cheeses to explore, including one you might already have in your fridge and one you probably haven't tried yet, but could become your new favorite. And after that, we're going to have a real, honest conversation about what all this means emotionally, how food choices connect to your sense of purpose, peace, and power in this stage of life. Now, let's talk about one of my personal favorites, ricotta. If cottage cheese had a creamier, more elegant cousin, it would be ricotta. And let me tell you, this cheese is doing a lot more for your body than most people realize. It's made from whey. The same part of milk that gives whey protein its muscle-preserving benefits, and it's rich in essential amino acids that help repair tissue and support immunity. Ricotta is gentle on the digestive system, low in sodium, and naturally lower in fat compared to many other soft cheeses. But the best part? It's incredibly versatile. Sweet or savory, it fits both. Beverly, 66, had always used cream cheese in her breakfast and desserts. When she started swapping it out for ricotta, something shifted. She felt less bloated, more satisfied, and even her skin looked a bit brighter, no joke. Her favorite treat now? A bowl of ricotta, a drizzle of honey, and a few fresh berries. It's like dessert with benefits. And you don't have to stop at sweet dishes. Spread ricotta on whole grain toast with some olive oil and cracked black pepper. Or mix it with chopped spinach, garlic, and a touch of lemon as a dip or sandwich spread. It's creamy, nourishing, and it won't weigh you down like the heavier, salter cheeses we talked about earlier. Now for the grand finale, one of the most nutrient-rich, senior-friendly cheeses of all, real, aged Parmesan. I'm talking about Parmigiano Reggiano, not the powdered stuff in a plastic shaker, but the real block with a grainy texture and deep, nutty flavor. This cheese is a gem. Because it's aged for at least 12 months, it's virtually lactose-free, making it easier to digest even for those with dairy sensitivities. It's also packed with calcium, phosphorus, vitamin A, and protein, all essential for bone health, especially as we age. Leo, 75, used to think he had to give up cheese completely after struggling with bloating. But once he tried real Parmesan, shaved onto soups and veggies, he realized he could still enjoy his favorite flavors, without the side effects. It became his flavor booster. A little bit goes a long way, and because it's so rich, you naturally eat less. Here's what I suggest: keep a wedge of Parmigiano Reggiano in your fridge. Grate or shave it fresh. Add it to roasted vegetables, soups, or even a salad with olive oil and lemon. You'll be amazed how something so simple can elevate your meals and your health at the same time. Now let's step back for a moment. We've talked about specific cheeses to avoid and specific ones to enjoy. But really, this conversation runs deeper than that, doesn't it? Because this isn't just about food. It's about how we feel as we age. And I know that can be a tender subject. Maybe you've looked in the mirror recently and seen someone you didn't quite recognize. Maybe you felt a little betrayed by your body, a little frustrated with how easily the weight clings on, or how much more effort it takes to feel energized. 10 days later, he emailed us. Said he was sleeping through the night again for the first time in months. His mind felt sharper. His grandkids came over for the weekend, and he actually kept up with them, laughing, playing, even tossing a football in the backyard. He said, "I didn't realize how far I'd drifted from myself, until I started to come back." That hit me. Because that's what this is really about, isn't it? It's not just about vegetables. It's about not settling. About refusing to believe that decline is inevitable. That you have to just accept low energy, poor sleep, mood swings, or feeling like a shadow of yourself. You don't. Every day is a chance to come back to yourself, and it starts with one choice at a time. Now in just a moment, we're going to take everything we've talked about and bring it home. We'll go deeper into the emotional toll this slow hormonal decline can take, not just on you, but on the people around you. And more importantly, how you can turn the tide, starting today. Let's take a breath here. Just pause for a moment. Because by now, you've taken in a lot. And I want to speak to something that rarely gets acknowledged, not in most health videos, not at the doctor's office, not even in most conversations. It's the quiet grief that comes with getting older and not feeling like yourself anymore. You might not talk about it. You might not even realize it fully. But there's this moment. Maybe you felt it, where you look in the mirror and wonder, where did I go? That spark, that sharpness, the sense of power in your body, the clarity in your thoughts, it all feels faded. And sometimes you just assume that's aging. That this is just the new normal. But I want to gently challenge that idea. Because the decline you felt, the dip in energy, the fog, the emotional flatness, the slower recovery, the lack of motivation, those aren't just signs of aging. Many times, they're symptoms of imbalance. Symptoms of small things piling up, slowly stealing your strength in the background. And here's the most important part, you can turn it around. You don't need some massive life overhaul. You don't need a shelf full of supplements. What you need is clarity, consistency, and compassion for your body. Start by removing the 6 hormone-disrupting plant foods we've talked about. Soy sprouts and edamame, flax greens and sprouts, raw cruciferous vegetables, unless cooked, spearmint and peppermint leaves in excess, licorice root infusions, canned or pickled nightshades with BPA or excessive sodium. These changes may feel small, but they're powerful. Because when you remove what drains you, your body can finally do what it's always wanted to do, heal. And to the adult children or caregivers watching this, maybe you're here on behalf of your father, your husband, or your grandfather, this matters for you too. The men you love may not always speak up, but they feel these shifts. Sometimes they suffer in silence because they don't want to burden you. But they deserve to thrive. To feel clear and confident. To wake up with purpose, with strength, and with dignity. So support them. Share this with them. And let them know it's never too late. Now, let's quickly recap, in plain, simple language. If you're over 60 and dealing with low energy, foggy thinking, poor sleep, or a general feeling of not quite right, look to your food first. Certain vegetables, yes, even the healthy ones, can mess with your testosterone and throw you off course. By making a few smart changes, you can rebalance your hormones naturally and begin to feel stronger, clearer, and more alive than you have in years. And here's a question I'd love to hear your thoughts on. And I truly hope you'll answer this in the comments. Have you ever had an experience where removing just one food made a big difference in how you felt? Maybe it was dairy, maybe sugar, maybe something unexpected. What was it? Let's talk about it below. Your story might help someone else. And hey, if you've gotten value from this video, would you do me a favor? Tap the like button so more people can find it. And if you want more videos like this, practical, down-to-earth, and hopeful, subscribe to Everyday Ageless and be part of a community that believes aging doesn't mean fading. Aging means refining. It means becoming more intentional, more focused, more powerful in the way you care for yourself. You're not broken. You're not past your prime. You're just evolving, and the best chapters are still being written. Before we close, I want to leave you with a little something extra, a bonus, if you will. There's a quote I love. Maybe you've heard it before, but today, let it land differently. You don't stop moving because you grow old. You grow old because you stop moving. George Bernard Shaw. Let that be a reminder, keep moving, not just your body, but your mind, your curiosity, your choices. Momentum is medicine. And here's a bonus wellness tip most people overlook, pumpkin seeds. Just a handful a day, rich in zinc, magnesium, and antioxidants that support testosterone and overall vitality. They're easy to snack on, sprinkle on salads, or add to smoothies. And if you're still watching, first of all, thank you. I know your time is precious. I hope this video felt like a conversation with someone who truly cares, because that's exactly what I aim for here at Everyday Ageless.